Hello, welcome to Talking Good Games. Just finished England 1, Croatia 0 at Wembley. Gonzo, might as well start with yourself. How are you feeling?
Pleased. Am I ecstatic? No, it was a harder watch than it needed to be. I think there were easier ways to win the game, quite frankly, Geo, than the way England chose to win it. I just don't think we should be playing that way with the players that we got at our disposal. But you've got to win the first game. You've got to get 3 points, and we have done that. And that being said, I did predict this as a 1-0 win, so I'm not surprised. But I'm relieved. How am I feeling? I'm relieved rather than exuberant, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, let's go through the game then. The first 10 minutes, Gonzo, I thought you guys looked magnificent in all honesty. Not just Foden hitting the post, even if you take away that one shot. Yep. I think England played really, really well. I thought you had Croatia pinned back, I thought you were moving the ball well left to right. I thought it wasn't as defensive as what it looked like on paper. It looked a bit conservative on paper, but on the pitch, I thought it was working really good. I thought you were energetic. I think Croatia were struggling to work out who was playing where. Phil Foden had the beating of the left back pretty early. I mean, he's a young lad, probably didn't expect to start. There's obviously something going on with Barisic because he wasn't even on the bench. I thought Foden had his number early doors. I thought Mason Mount was getting in good positions in the first 10 minutes. I don't know. I was very impressed. I'm aware it was only 10 minutes, but it sometimes sets a tone. Obviously, we know what happened the other 80. It didn't quite do that. But I thought, bloody hell, if England play like this all game, they're going to smash Croatia here.
Yeah, and I thought, so I thought Phillips was playing really well, heavily involved in the game, winning the ball back early and driving at them. So I thought his energy had played a large part in that. I thought Mount was finding pockets of space and was starting to combine well with Sterling, and then Trippier was sort of trying to get involved down that side as well. And I thought we were playing. We were playing well. We had intent. We looked to be in control of possession, and we'd managed not only obviously Foden's shot, we'd actually managed to get into their box on a couple of occasions as well. So it was all looking pretty good at that point.
What do you make for the rest of the first half?
Well, I thought we took our foot off the gas a little bit. We allowed Croatia to settle a little bit, and then we weren't committing our fullbacks forward enough. Now, obviously, unless you literally just taking your head out and saying you don't know what's going on, we started Kieran Trippier, who clearly is a right back. We started him at left back. So because of that, it wasn't just that he was checking inside his right foot all the time. It was because he's not naturally left-sided. He wasn't running beyond Raheem Sterling, which negated an avenue for us to attack, because actually we were doing quite well with this. As I say, Sterling and Mount were doing well. Just to fully unlock the defence, you needed the fullback to overlap, which wasn't happening because that's not what he does. But we had this concentration of players on that left-hand side the longer it went on. And Phil Foden completely isolated on the right-hand side with a fullback behind him who was having a bad game in Kyle Walker, giving the ball. I think I counted he gave the ball away 4 times at least in that first half. But he didn't have anybody to overlap him because Walker wasn't doing it. So what was happening was we weren't getting any crosses into the box. So it was one avenue of attack that we were just saying, almost said, we're not going to do this. And the longer it went on, I think the more Croatia thought they're not a massive threat. So Croatia started to grow in confidence. And I do think they started to get more and more possession without truly hurting England, because they didn't have an abundance of great attacking players.
Yeah, I thought Modric showed his class in that first half, though. I thought he was really starting to pull his strings a little bit. He was picking up nice pockets. And I actually thought England was missing someone like Luka Modric, which is mental when you have the players you have.
Yeah. And
I'm not talking about the talent on the edge of the box, which England have got. I'm talking about someone that almost plays in between Declan Rice and Phil Foden, that just gets the ball and moves it from left to right. And sometimes it's a 50-yard ball over to the fullback, and you just move the whole pitch over. And the funny thing is, Croatia's best attack was stopped by the referee. Hit the referee and it blew up. That was when Croatia were looking good. They were doing zippy passing. I thought I don't know, after 20 minutes or something, I thought England not looked tired. I don't know if it was the heat, because it was belting down the sun in there. So the heat would have had an impact. I don't know if it's because of the heat or whether it's because, like you said, Croatia just thought, hang on, England, we're coping okay with this. Let's push them back a little bit. But they didn't really threaten you that much. Pickford didn't really have anything to do, kind of thing. And I thought the last 20 minutes of the first half was a bit boring for the neutral like that. I thought it was a bit boring to watch. Yeah. And I thought at the same time, if I was a Croatian fan or an England fan, I wouldn't have been bothered. I'd have thought, this is all right. They've not really got much about them, kind of thing. And we can go again in the second half. The second half-time, 0-0, second half, it sort of started off with how it finished at the first half, Gonzo. I mean, if Croatia started on the front foot the second half, but not really overwhelmingly on top.
Well, it wasn't working, and I for all the reasons that I've just said, particularly in wide areas, particularly at fullbacks, I didn't feel that the experiment had worked. And Irish Tommy jumped on the watch along with me, which was very nice of him, and he made a really good tactical observation. Now, don't get me wrong, Phillips played well, and Phillips did play very well. So it's not really an observation that's negative towards him, but he ended up getting into positions that really a number 10 should have been in. And if he was getting into positions that a number 10 should have been in, then there just should have been a number 10 there, because obviously Grealish didn't start as well. And, and Southgate will feel vindicated because ultimately went on a 1-1-0 and Raheem Sterling scored the goal. And obviously Phillips set him up with a good run. So it's not that, but it was quite evident what was wrong, particularly in wide. And they needed to sort the fullback thing out. We need to get more crossing. He needs to make sure Foden wasn't isolated. That was clear in the first half. So why it then took him 15 minutes in the second half just to confirm what we'd seen for 35 minutes, I don't know. So he basically came to the decision 15 minutes. They all seem very familiar, actually, Geo, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought I was watching a West Ham game about a year ago, if you know what I mean. So, not a great start to the second half, mate.
No, I thought it was a bit... I think it was two sides who looked happy or were okay with drawing a 0-0 at that point. I thought both sides were sort of looking at each other, probably thinking a draw is not the end of the world for us, kind of thing here. And I felt like that came through when you were watching the game. I think while Southgate didn't have the handbrake on, I certainly don't think he went full throttle at Croatia today, because if he had done, Jack Grealish would have started, and if he hadn't, he would have come on at half time. He'd have thought, right, I need to get something else on. Jack Grealish is the man, kind of thing. And he didn't even come on. I understand why when you're 1-0 up, he doesn't come on. But there was an opportunity between half time and scoring for getting someone like Grealish in. I thought some players were looking a little bit flat. And as you said, Southgate is almost like proving correct with his lineup, if you want, because he's won the game, kind of thing. But that is not really because of Kieran Trippier or something like that. That didn't win the game. Yeah. He wasn't. Kieran Trippier wasn't bad. He didn't have a bad game, Trippier, but he didn't play well. He was just all right. He wasn't really tested enough defensively. Offensively, he wasn't really involved enough. I thought Raheem Sterling, bar 1 minute, was pretty poor, if I'm honest with you. Fortunately, for 1 minute, he scored the second chance he had that fell to him. He had all the time in the world, and he blazed it high and wide, kind of thing. So it was. It was a funny one, but you got your goal, Gonzo. What an assist, though. I know Sterling got the goal, and it was a decent enough finish as well, because sometimes you do just need a little bit of composure, and I felt he had that, because in the first half he had that opportunity where it was on his left foot, but he tried to get back onto his right and allowed the defender to get in front of him and stuff, and he had a lot of bits and pieces in the first half that was like not really enough. Croatia were blocking it, but that one, superb from Calvin Phillips. Lovely ball through, and tidy enough finish from Raheem Sterling.
Yeah, absolutely. And Walker passing the ball, as I did think it was a hindrance to us. The bit that you were alluding to when Sterling should have just hit it with his left foot was a beautiful ball over the top from Mason Mount. One of the few times that their defensive line was high enough for us to get behind them, and which is obviously why we both said in the preview that we wanted someone fast. I say wanted, you made obviously, England needed someone fast to get in behind. And that was the one time that you thought, okay, that's you're there. You've taken advantage of it. And he sort of fluffed his lines. Not only did he turn back and was indecisive, he eventually did a cross, which he crossed straight to one of the Croatian players. So, yeah, there was that. So I'd been criticising Sterling's technique and Carl Walker's technique. What do I know? Carl Walker plays the ball to Calvin Phillips. But the one thing I had done from minute one of the game saying, wow, Phillips is playing really well, and he was brilliant. I loved the way he sort of nicked the ball past the defender who was lunging. He checked inside, he cut inside, but I felt he sort of gave him this direction. He almost shake his body like he was going one way, he cut inside, and he had to release the ball quickly because Sterling was timing his run to try and beat an offside trap. Timed the ball really well, and then the defender was wanting to clatter Sterling. You know, I mean, I don't know. That could have very easily, if it had played out just slightly different, it might have been a penalty anyway if Sterling hadn't shot as quickly as he did, because I don't think the defender was going to get an awful lot of the ball. However, Sterling did. Sterling had no time to shoot, and and he had to do it. So Calvin Phillips timed his pass right. Sterling shot early. It beat the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper sort of bounced off his elbow and went in. But it was well timed. I actually thought it was a good goal, actually.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it was a really good assist from Calvin Phillips. Then the sort of pressures on Croatia then. It's, well, what are you going to do? I actually thought this will actually suit England a bit more now, actually, because Croatia has got to come out. This will suit. You had Marcus Rashford on, or Rashford came on immediately after anyway, and I thought, okay, now he's up against this really inexperienced left-back. I'm not going to pretend I've heard of him. I don't know who he is. I just know he's 20 years old. He's got a handful of caps for Croatia. And I thought, this is Rashford up against him. I thought, this is where Rashford can, Kane had that whack off the post. You have to assume he went off injured as a precaution rather than a tactical switch, because even if it was a tactical switch, I thought it was a bit brave by Southgate. Not conceding the white flag, but going that, taking a centre midfielder on for your centre forward. I thought, you better hope Croatia don't score. You better make sure Jack Grealish is ready to go. So if Croatia do score, Grealish is on the pitch before you've even kicked off again. And I just thought it was brave by Gareth. But I thought 1-0 England would suit England to go on and get 2. But I have to say, I was a bit disappointed with England's lack of counter-attacking game. But I was also disappointed by Croatia. I don't really think they done much. They had bits and bobs, but I don't remember Pickford making a save.
No, and I guess in that sense it was comfortable, but it was another halfway house from Southgate, which was, I'm going to keep Sterling on for his pace, and I'm going to bring Rashford on for his pace and take Foden off, because Croatia are going to attack me more, so I can counter-attack them. So what you do at that point? So it's at that, okay, that's half the decision. All right, Gareth. The next part of that decision is that either one or both of those players need to sort of be on the halfway line for when we regain possession, then we can counter-attack. Oh, no. No. What we're going to do is we're going to put those two deeper than the fullbacks, and we're going to put Harry Kane up there, right? Just before Bellingham came on, because we won the ball back and it got kicked forward to Harry Kane, and of course the central defender outpaced him. So he was even negative in the counter-attack. He was even negative in his defensive substitutions. Crikey, where do you want them to run from? One corner flag to the next? What I don't. And so what happened was we conceded possession from a point in the game when actually, up until the point we scored, England had most of the possession. England were outdoing Croatia as well as Modric played. It was good. But I tell you what, I think we've had a really important interception from John Stones, 3 or 4 from Tyrone Mings, a mistake from Tyrone Mings as well, which could have led to a goal. In the end, a couple of opposite, really good bits of defending from Kyle Walker as well. Well, hold on. Why are we allowing ourselves to be in this position? England could win that game in a number of ways, Geo. The hardest way for England to win that game was to go 1-0 up and then decide to sit back and not attack them. Which, what are you doing? And look, we won, and it's going to come across as whingy and moany. But look, the majority of people watching this are going to be West Ham fans, Geo. And as a West Ham fan, this is more of that. This is sitting back on a 1-0 lead. Why are you doing this when there are all these wonderful attacking players? Please, please, please don't bring Marcus Rashford on and just stick him right next to Kyle Walker. And almost, I know it wasn't 3 at the back, but he almost moved Kyle Walker almost in as another. He was so tight. He was almost like another centre back. Oh, brilliant. Rashford, the wing back, fantastic. I know it changed when Kane went off, but for that little bit, oh, come on. It was frustrating. It wasn't quite fully squeaky bum time for the reason that you gave, which is Croatia weren't that good. But crikey, we invited them onto us and said, well, come on then. What have you got? I don't want to see that. Honestly, I really don't.
Yeah, I thought I could kind of get at what he was trying to do. The one sub I was a bit, that's risky, is when he took Bellingham on for Kane and went 3 centre midfielders. I just thought Mason Mount was still on the pitch. I don't think he was getting very involved anymore. And I thought, this is the risk in here is if you concede a goal, it goes 1-1. Like you've blown it, you really have. But it won. It finished 1-0. You can say it was job done by guys, job done by a player. I would consider it as what you would call a professional performance if we worked in the mainstream media. We don't, but it was a bit of a professional performance. I thought it was a comfortable victory in the end for England because, but I think that's more down to Croatia than England. If you know what I mean, I think England were there to be got at. And I think almost Croatia made too many subs. Every 5 minutes they were doing a sub, and I just thought, any momentum you get, you're killing your own momentum here. You just. Every time Croatia got the ball, they were knocking about sub Croatia player or Croatia player. And I was like, you're in control of the game here. Why are you? I get why you need to get an attacker on. You're under pressure. It's not quite working what you've got. But I just felt the Croatian guy killed his own team's momentum. I thought Southgate substitutions were bang on. He was trying every 5 minutes do a little substitution, get Calvin Lewin on at the end for 3 minutes just to annoy the Croatians to slow the game down a little bit. I just thought the Croatians were slowing their own game down. I thought
they didn't want them feign an injury, Geo. They were behind, and the guy's rolling around on the floor, mate. Mate,
I don't know.
You need to score a goal. Yeah.
They took off. I don't know how you pronounce his name. The Inter Milan defensive midfielder Brozovic, and when he took him off, because he was on the yellow card, I understand why he took him off, but then he put on Vlasic, which meant Modric had to come into the deeper role. I just thought you made a mistake there because the one good thing you had going for you was Luka Modric. I thought Modric played really well today. I thought he was going past players. I felt Calvin Phillips in particular had to cleverly bring him down a few times, just slap into the side of him, knock him down and give him the free kick. So he can have that free kick. What are you going to do about it? But I thought Modric was looking good. He went deeper. And then suddenly Croatia would get into the final third and it was like, well, I can't give it to Luka anymore. He's standing all the way back at the halfway line beside the centre-backs. And I thought the Croatian manager done Southgate a favour today. I thought maybe a better team, a better manager might have at least threw a glove at England. I thought it was very comfortable for you guys for the last 15, 20 minutes. I thought Southgate made it seem uncomfortable with his substitutions and the way you retreated and stuff. But it's a tournament. It's all about results.
Yep.
And you got the win. It's job done at the end of the day for you guys.
Yeah. It is. It's job done, and it is good. I mean, I'd have been a very, very unhappy bunny with a loss and probably even a draw. I didn't want to go into it. Say, don't lose the first game and all the rest of it. So we won the game, and I don't suggest for a moment that Southgate didn't want to win the game. I really do. I think he tried to win the game, and he did. It's just I would have liked a little. It didn't have to be that hard or that painful. It could have been far, far easier. England have got some tremendous players. They really do. And the funny thing is, you get the idea that Southgate doesn't want to take any risks. But by playing the way he did, he took a risk because they score with that last shot there. And then Gareth Southgate will end up getting the exact type of press conference that he really wants to avoid, which is, why did you play Trippier there? Why didn't Grealish play? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? That's what he'll get. He didn't. He'll get a press conference now where now, and I don't know, the press conference is probably going on now. Someone will say to him, why didn't you start Jack Grealish? And Southgate's answer will be, I just felt Raheem Sterling was the better option. Next question, please. He doesn't even have to go into it anymore because Raheem Sterling scored the only goal of the game. So he will feel vindicated, which is absolutely fine. And it's good. But does that give, I get two things. All right. So, we're playing you guys next weekend. Two things. Does that performance give me confidence as an England fan going into the next two games? No. I'm pleased to have the 3-point buffer zone. Yes. The second thing is, what does Scotland think who would have been sat down around their tellies watching that? If they, I'm not sure you got television in Scotland, but they were probably all sat around the radio, the wireless, Geo, listening to that game. And probably Scotland's probably thinking, hold on, hello. This England team ain't all that. We can have a go at this, please, boys.
After the first 15 minutes, I was dreading Friday night. I was thinking, bloody hell, if this lot turn up Friday, it's going to be 3-0 at half-time when you play us. I thought, Jesus, don't fancy this, because we will be organised defensively. We will play 5 at the back. We will have a lot of huff and puff about us in midfield, and we will chase everything. But I was looking at the Croatian side today, not too dissimilar with this sort of tactics. And I thought the first 15 minutes, I don't fancy this on Friday. But the last 20 minutes of the first half in particular, and large parts of the second half, I was sitting there thinking, and Croatia, not just England, I was sitting there thinking, you know what? This lot turn up with this attitude against us. We've got a chance. We've got a chance. So this is probably the perfect result for Scotland. I know naturally Scotland shouldn't want England to win, blah, blah, blah. But I do think this is the perfect result. Goal difference of just +1, 1 goal scored. England win, or more importantly, Croatia have got beat, which, Scotland are now third in the table. That's what we're after, right? We're playing a game, we've gone above Croatia. Happy days. So now a point becomes good for us tomorrow again. We play Czech Republic tomorrow. A point now is a good enough result for Scotland, thanks to England winning. We have to aim, is the lowest possible thing for Scotland is to finish third, but also in the top 4 of the 6 finishing third. So we're going into the last 16. England winning today probably helps that because it puts Croatia down the bottom and stuff. But anyway, individual performance, take your pick.
I think I've mentioned what I didn't like to see. I was really pleased to see Mount. I thought Foden, on the limited time he got to receive the ball. I was just about to say we've all played on the wing. We haven't all played on the wing, have we? So when I played football at a very, very crap level, I used to play on the wing, and just sometimes used to look at me, I'm on the other side of the pitch. Come on, hello, I'm over here. And I think I felt a bit for Foden there because I felt Mount had a free role, and I felt Foden was very much told by Southgate, you stay on that right wing and don't move from it. So I think, I think that the limited time he had, he did something. Clearly in the second half, he had an instruction, move more central, and you saw that. When we had the ball, he had to keep his position. When we didn't have the ball, he was allowed to go where he wanted. So he rectified that, and I thought he played reasonably well in that sense. From a West Ham perspective, I didn't think the game was really played in Declan's area of the pitch. I feel that they were trying to go wide, Croatia, on a lot of occasions. I just didn't feel that there was an awful lot of activity in that area just in front of the centre halves, England's centre halves. Do you know what I mean? So I feel it either went wide or England's centre halves ended up clearing it. So I don't think there was an awful lot for Declan to do today, although there were, the longer the game went on, there were 1 or 2 decent interceptions and a really good clearance quite near the end. The fullbacks I've discussed. Mount, I said, I was really pleased with Mings. I've got to say, I thought he was I thought the reason Pickford didn't make as many saves he did, I do think the centre halves cleared it, but I would not like to see him that active. But the one thing that does trouble me about Mings, he's very left-footed. I know people say the left-footed balance to the 2 centre halves, but there was one occasion where the ball came for the right and he tried to clear it with the outside of his left foot. No, mate, you either need to head that or kick it out with your right foot. But that wasn't actually the bad mistake. He completely miskicked and it worst came. But he did make 4 or 5 really telling interceptions. So I was pleased for that. You can see why Southgate's going to want to bring Maguire back as quickly as he can. And I think I'll leave. It's a shame. No service for Kane, really. No service for Kane. And I think Kane will today, aside from the bruised ribs or whatever might be wrong with him, he might be thinking, I'm not getting a golden boot playing in this team if we play in this way, because he's just not going to get enough chances, particularly if England are going to play tactics where we don't cross the ball. The irony is they did sort it out and Mason Mount played a crossover and he injured himself. Aside from that, was precious little of that going on. I'll leave the other one for me man of the match.
Yeah, I think we've got the same man of match. It's difficult to sort of speak about individual performers. I thought everybody for England was all right. No, I don't think anyone was outstanding. I don't think anyone was poor. We're going to do the player ratings for the patrons after. Everyone will be 6s out of 10, really. A couple of 7s, maybe 1 8 thrown in there. But there's been no one was less than a 6 either. I don't think anyone was less than a 6. I think most players had a quiet game, despite having most possession kind of thing. I think Kane, like you said, will struggle because when you don't cross the ball. But then how can you justify almost basing your game on crossing the ball when only Kane's capable of heading it? You're not going to swing it into Mount, Foden, Sterling, and that. They're not great in there, are they? So I can understand the tactics, but then your striker, you're not going to get the best out of him. He's almost like a spare part to some extent. The one time you did put a cross in, he almost scored at the back post, Harry.
Right, yeah.
But, I think Foden started really well. Thought he faded quite a bit, actually. I thought he was the right player to take off. I just don't think Marcus Rashford was the right player to put on. But I think I can understand why I took Foden off, kind of thing. I thought it looked good. That shot that hit the post was incredible. By the way, that keeper did fantastic. Did you see how he got his feet out the way when Foden took the shot, hits the post and comes out? If you watch the replay again and again, watch it. There's a shot behind the goal.
Everyone else,
the keeper,
it bounces off and goes in. Yeah.
The keeper is looking at it, hits the post. He moves his legs like an alligator's tail. He whips his legs up as if to say they're not hitting my feet and going in. Kind of. I was really impressed. And the commentators didn't mention that. It's one of them things you think. Credit the goalkeeper to some extent because he's got out of the way. Another day that hits him in the back of the heels and ends up in the back of the neck, kind of thing. I thought the centre backs for England did okay, but the full backs did okay. As for Declan Rice, I thought he was back to sort of old school West Ham role, defensive mid, don't cross it, don't not enter the final third. You sit back, you let Phillips do the running, you sit back. He was almost like playing in between the centre backs at times, dropping deep, getting the ball, kind of thing. But he looked like an experienced England international. Do you know what I mean? You can tell one or two of them have only just broken in the team or their places aren't quite up for certainty, but Rice has just got this aura of calmness, like this is me, this is my place, I am England's sort of centre midfielder.
And he really told Trippier off at one point. He was really, and it's leadership qualities, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite. There's a few things to be liked about that from an England perspective. You know, when Stones had that battle with a car or whatever, and then they had a little face off, and all the England.
Massively bigger than him, and he's still got the header. Yeah.
You can see Mount saying to the Croatian guy, "F off." You know, you can see Croatian bloke was there on his own. But there's 3 or 4 England players in his face saying, "You take on one of us. We're all here for a battle, mate. You want to fight? Let's have a fight." And there's little things like that just make a difference sometimes. If you've got a similar ability or something, sometimes that togetherness is worth a little bit extra. But anyway, any final words? And can I get your man of match, please?
Look, a win, 3 points. I'm watching the telly now. Mason Mount, who's got excellent teeth, to be perfectly honest with you. I'd like it. I might nick his teeth. He's smiling. He's clearly happy. He played well today. Everyone will be happy in that. And I don't know if anybody saw Southgate right at the end of the game was celebrating like he'd won the World Cup. So, I mean, he is very, very happy, clearly, with that. That'll be a much better camp for the week. Look, I've spoken quite negatively about some things today because it was a hard watch as a fan, all right, as an England fan. It wasn't entertaining either. And it realistically...
It was hard watching a neutral, don't worry.
I bet it bloody was, mate, yeah. Realistically, that could have been done a little bit differently. There were easier ways for England to win that game than the one we did. That being said, that won't be felt in the camp. That'll be a happy camp this week and a build-up for the Scotland game. Us poor old fans will be the ones that have to suffer. But you know what? It's 3 points on the board, and we can actually just relax for the rest of the week. When is Scotland playing, actually? Tomorrow at 2:00. Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck for that. In man of the match is going to be Calvin Phillips, and I don't just say that because of his thing in the goal. We did do a watch along. I was praising him from the 3rd minute, and I kept on saying if he carries on playing like this, I said it after 15 minutes. He carries on playing like this, he's in the team for the next game because he was that good. I thought he was really good player. In the end, he did contribute and give a goal as well. But I thought he had the right balance of energy, of technique. I mean, when I say technique, I mean ball control and passing and whatnot, and tackling and interceptions. And I felt he was aggressive enough without ever really threatening to get a red card, but aggressive enough to put Croatia off their game. I thought it was almost an all-round midfield performance. Very impressive of him today.
I thought he was superb. Calvin Phillips, my man of match as well. I thought he was unbelievable. I think, you're right about his aggression. Sometimes Croatia would string a few passes together. And this is where sometimes having too many players like Foden and Mount can backfire a little bit because they tend, saying that, for their club, Mason Mount's going to get stuck in for Chelsea, but they can be a bit standoffish a little bit. They sort of occupy an area of the park and jostle or whatever you want to call it. But you do just now and again need someone like Calvin Phillips that just batters into them. Says, have your free kick, but you're not just getting to knock the ball about like that kind of thing. We're not going to allow you dribbling around here or something. We're going to disrupt your play, get rid of that confidence and momentum you've just been trying to build up a little bit. Another day, that volley that he had from the edge of the box goes in. He struck it as sweet as you can strike it kind of thing, goes through defenders and straight at the keeper. But another day, a 2 foot to the side, it's in the bottom corner kind of thing. The assist, unbelievable. And you need that sometimes. Sometimes you do need that. And England was probably going to need that today. And a bit of individual brilliance. And he's not the first player to pick to do that, to dribble past a few players and play a through ball. But he done it. And I wouldn't be surprised. You look at the statistics, he's top for tackles, top for interceptions, probably one of the best pass success rates on the pitch, probably the best for key passes, shots, everything. He's probably top for most things. All, like you said, an all-round performance. The one thing was interesting was the dynamic between him and Declan Rice. You sort of look at that team on paper and think, oh, that's a bit defensive. How can you play Phillips and Rice? Actually, Phillips didn't play defensive. Declan Rice was a defensive midfielder. Phillips was a box-to-box. And while Irish Tom makes a good point that he's occupying number 10 positions, but I think out of possession, though, the question is, well, is that guy, say you put Grealish into Calvin Phillips' positions in possession, out of possession, you need Phillips. Phillips is getting back in beside Declan Rice and stuff. He was almost playing like the role of two players today. I thought he was just an incredible performance kind of thing. And I'll tell you something, performances like that, if a Man City or Chelsea was looking at Declan Rice thinking he's a bit too pricey, you watch Phillips play like that, you might think, well, actually, if he's 60 million instead of 80 million, maybe another couple of performances, he might just come up on some big club radar. Anyway, shall we leave it there, my friend? Next time we do an England video, it'll be the preview for the Scotland game.
Yeah, that'd be good. Mate. A few people mentioned in the chat. I hope you and Geo will be doing a watch along. We want to see the England v Scotland.
Oh,
so
crikey, I don't know about that. My
really?
computer's upstairs. My telly's downstairs.
Come on!
I get far too passionate, if you like, and also I expect us to get beat. So I don't want to be sat here.
They want to see.
I don't want to be sitting here angry.
No, they want you sat there in your see you Jimmy hat and your kilt and your sporran and all that. That's what we want to see.
I don't think it's going to be happening. I will get way too aggressive watching Scott McTominay running around after Phil Foden. But anyway, we'll do the preview during the week and then we'll have the games, the match day stuff on Friday. But there you have it. England 1, Croatia 0. England off to the best start possible in Group D. Scotland play the Czech Republic tomorrow. If you enjoyed this review, drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and we'll see you during the week for the preview of England against Scotland. Catch you in a bit.